is a podcast with some knowledge. Knowledge is power, so you'll get some power, but not a lot of power, because there's not a lot of knowledge, but there is some knowledge. Edwin Salmon of Knowledge Podcast.
Hey, Salmon Skins, and welcome to another episode of Edwin Salmon of Knowledge Checks His Levels, because he didn't do it before he started recording. Hi, everybody. It's hot, feeling hot, ba-ba-do, feeling hot, ba-ba-do. I'm sweating, I am sweating quite profusely. I am sweating and sweat in my eyes. For you see, ladies and gentlemen, there is an everyone in between. Cats, dogs, theys, thems, we's, us's, ye's. How are ye's? How are you all doing? I want to include everyone. This is an all-inclusive podcast. Anyone can listen to it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your beliefs are. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I mean, who knows who listens to this? I mean, it's such a, this goes out to literally anyone in the world. There could be a serial killer listening to this right now. And if there is, I'm going to say, stop your serial killing. I don't know who needs to hear this, but stop your serial killing. That's one of the very annoying things about the internet. I've been noticing that lately. And I'm not that I'm in a glass house, not that the internet is a glass house, but I'm on social media. I can't really complain about it, but I will. Now, it is very hot, and I was just singing a little song there which illustrates a problem that I have in the heat, and I don't know who needs to hear this. No one needs to hear this. I'm just giving you my hot update. So it's the heat update with Ed Salmon. It's really hot outside. Remember to drink lots of fluids. I'm not talking about beer, talking about water, dear. It's very hot, it's at least 20 degrees. I haven't checked my phone for the exact number that it is, 'cause my phone slips out of my hand 'cause sweat, it's very hot. So guys, if you are a bald man, beware during the hot weather, because you can get burned very easily on the top of your head, and that is a no-no. That is a one-way ticket to Cancer Town. Population U. Well, actually, there's a lot of people that suffer with cancer. It won't be just you living there. But it'll be a very sad town, and you don't want to live in that town. No one wants to live in Cancer Town. You want to just head on out that highway to Remissionville. That's where you want to settle down and raise a family. But if you are out and about, remember to put some sun cream on your head. And if you're a bald man like me with very thin eyebrows, that's a real recipe for disaster, because you start to sweat and it runs down your face, and the eyebrows act as the dams blocking the river of sweat. If the dams are broken, then you've got flooded eyeballs, and you don't want that, my friends. When the sun comes out and the tops come off, lads walking around, I hate to say it, put your tops back on, lads. I know it's not the French Riviera, it's not Brazil, it's not Rio. You don't have the bodies, they're way too pale and pasty, and you've got a tribal tattoo that looks kind of cool. Well, maybe you did when you were 22, but no one needs to see that. Cover up your stupid tattoos and go back inside. So, guys, as you may be aware, because you listen to the podcast, or maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast, if it is, then you probably haven't had enough of me talking about my newborn son, Luke, and how much of a prodigy he is, how much of a genius he is. I'm becoming one of those people who goes on and on about their child. He can turn his head at a 2-month level, and he's only a month. It's one of these things where if we were any other species, it'd be an embarrassment. If Luke was, a large cat, or a cub rather, he'd be off foraging and killing his own food and bringing it home for us to eat. But no, he's not making sneaky trips to the supermarket because he realizes that we're out of oat milk. He's not doing any of that stuff, but he's turning his head, and we're very proud of him turning his head. I mean, it's the nature of humanity in that we are one of those creatures that can't really look after ourselves. We're born kind of half baked. I mean, we're fully baked as babies, but then the baby has to bake a little bit more. The brain has to grow, and it has to be stimulated. So lots of tummy time. Now, I am aware that some people listening don't want to hear about baby stuff, but the unfortunate thing is that's really all that's been going on in my life for the last while. Now, I have been sort of parlaying this into, is that the right word to use? Parlaying? I don't know if that's the right word to use. I've been re-diverting my baby knowledge and my baby obsession into making a television program for the radio. So it's not really a TV program at all, called Baby Detective, starring Jonathan Baby as Baby Detective. Crime never naps is the tagline. And it's just something that myself and Cara have been doing with Luke for the last while. And it's been difficult for me even to record the last week because I had a tooth pulled there a while ago. I had two teeth, plural of tooth. And I went in to have my tooth removed. And I said, please, partooth. And the dentist was like, "What, are you okay?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm very sleep deprived." And she said, "That's fine, just don't start talking about your child. I'm assuming that's why you're sleep deprived." But I ended up showing her a picture of Luke on my phone. And in my head, like they were going, "Oh, no, he's so cute." But in my head I was going, "Oh God, I've turned into one of those people. A proud father." Not to say that I'm not proud, but I am proud, but I'm also empathetic, and I realize that nobody wants to see pictures of my kid because, if I'm honest, I don't want to see pictures of anyone else's kids. Like, if you've got kids and you find out I've got a kid, it's like one of those things where if you're an Irish person and you're on holidays somewhere and you see another Irish person, and this may be someone you never meet in your day-to-day, or maybe you'd pass them on the street, but you wouldn't even give them the time of day. You wouldn't even give them a nod of the head or a wink or how are you getting on, or how's it going, the classic Irish thing, how's it going, but you keep on walking because at the end of the day, you really don't give a shit. But if you meet someone, if you're in Spain and you see someone or you hear an accent, it happened to me when I was in Spain, actually, in a train station, waiting for a train, because that's the most logical place to be, waiting for a train. And I was talking to someone on my phone or something. I can't remember who I was talking to, and someone heard my accent, some Irish person, and like an Irish fly on a Guinness shit, they were over in a flash. And like, are you Irish? You from Ireland? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, "Oh, we're going to be best friends." And I was like, "Okay, well, I have to catch a train in 20 minutes. So I was hoping to have, 20 minutes of silence before then. Because silence is golden and your free time is very precious. And I've always been someone who enjoys my private time. I don't mind being in a room alone. And, obviously with a baby boy, it's difficult to do that because he's very demanding for someone who can only really move his head from side to side and can't roll over and can't talk or walk. But he is demanding of he needs to eat, he needs to be changed. And sometimes when I'm feeding him from the bottle, he'd be staring up at me lovingly, and I'd be like, "Oh, isn't he so cute?" And then all of a sudden, there'd just be this, what can only be described as a very loud, sustained, and vibrating fart that follows through with a lot of poop. And look, that's the reality of it. But look, I'm sorry. This is the end of the baby chat for now. We'll have Baby Detective, but that's a show. That's not about babies. Like, what I'm saying is, if, like an Irish person being abroad, it doesn't automatically give you, it's not like all Irish people like each other. In fact, most Irish people hate each other. I mean, I know you have friends and all, but if I'm walking around without my headphones, which is, a rare thing, normally I'm walking around listening to a podcast, or more recently, I'm walking around listening to music, because I realize that I've kind of stopped listening to music, and I really used to enjoy doing that. And I only really listen to music now when I am sort of walking, maybe with a few beers in me at nighttime, and it kind of gives me a sort of a pace. If I'm walking from one place to home, and it's like a 15-minute walk, I want to get like, I want to get the BPM to a suitable level that I can make that journey seem like it's happening in 2 minutes. But I have, and I do, and I will continue to listen to podcasts, but music is something I have always loved. Look, I sound like a fucking teenager now. I like music. That's what we used to say to each other when we were trying to chat up women when we were, 13, 14. Do you like music, Sharon? It's like saying, do you like food? Do you like walking? Do you like existing as a human being on this level of consciousness in your biomechanical, unit that you put food into and convert into energy? Is that something you enjoy? Do you enjoy sunshine? Do you enjoy the finer things in life? As I twirl my port around in my brandy glass, which is like completely ridiculous, because you wouldn't drink port out of a brandy glass. Everyone knows that, even a 13-year-old. What a joke I was. But anyway, listen, what I was getting at there is that when I'm not listening to podcasts or music, or the sound of screaming that calms me down somehow, I'm walking past people, and when you're walking past people, you always notice that they're always, well, not always, but I'd say a good 87% of the time, if you're walking past someone, a couple, friends, whatever, 2 people talking, or maybe 3 people talking, 87% of the time they are talking about someone else, someone they know, a mutual person in their lives. So a mutual friend, an acquaintance, a casual work colleague, but they're bitching about that person. And that always gives me pause, because I always think, well, maybe someone's bitching about me and I don't even know it. And I'm sure there are people bitching about me. Look, nobody can be liked by everybody. And if you're trying to be liked by everybody, including the people that you don't like, then what the fuck are you at? That's all I'm saying. Friendly piece of advice. So that's why I don't want to become one of those parents that goes on and on about their child all the time. So there'll be none of that from me. Instead, let's get into UFOs, because they're real. What's that in the sky? Is it a spaceship? Oh my, I think it's a spaceship. I believe that it is a spaceship right there. And there it goes, guys. There it goes, flying past us. A real life UFO. But actually, in this report that came out, I touched on this very, very briefly, I literally just mentioned it in passing in the last podcast, because the existence of alien life is not as interesting to me as my newly born son. Now, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of humanity, I think aliens existing and intelligent life being out there in the universe is probably a little bit more interesting than my son. But to me, it's only sort of mildly interesting. Now, I do say UFO, but the fact is that they actually have redefined it yet again, because in the sort of 1940s and 50s, people would say flying saucers, because most of the sightings were saucer shaped. Now, I have done an entire very, very long episode of those conspiracy guys on UFOs and unexplained phenomena. So if you want to check out those conspiracy guys, I can't remember the name of the podcast, but I'll link it in the description of this episode. So you find that in the show notes in the description. And I hope I remember to do that, because I've literally just said that I will. So now, instead of calling them UFOs, because they moved away from UFOs, because apparently that was a bit too sort of cheesy, so now they're called UAPs, which stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. Something like a phenomena up in the air, and I don't know what it is. So, I mean, unidentified aerial phenomena phenomenon is a singular thing, and I didn't pronounce that right either. And now I just have that LL Cool J song stuck in my head. Something like a phenomenon coming on to the Ramadan. It's a religious holiday, is Ramadan. If you, in an Indian restaurant, you have papadams. I hope I don't get cancelled for that rhyme. So, I'll continue with the UFO talk. So, yeah, UFOs are real, apparently. Well, the headline and the clickbait headline, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but clickbait headlines are not exactly the stories that you're looking for. These aren't the stories that you're looking for. Whenever I'm reading articles on my phone and I scroll down and I see underneath they have like stories, clickbait stories, and a lot of them are, let's say 87% of them are all about former soap actors in like Coronation Street and EastEnders, and you won't believe what they look like now. They were soap stars 15 years ago, and now they look 15 years older. And, like Clint Eastwood is 94. The house he lives in will blow the cheese off your cheeseburger. And I have to hold my cheeseburger real tight so the cheese stays on as I click open the link to see where Clint Eastwood lives. I'm sure he lives in a pretty decent house, being Clint Eastwood and being in the entertainment industry for so very long. Now, if he was up in the air on, a jetpack or something, or hang gliding, and you couldn't quite make him out, you'd be like, is that Clint Eastwood? I don't know, so I'm going to have to call it an unidentified aerial phenomena. I keep saying that wrong. Phenomena. Do. Phenomena. It's an aerial thing. You don't know what it is, so you have to say it's UFO. But then people don't say UFO anymore because it's all hat. So, yeah, in that Conspiracy Guys episode that I did, we're basically trying to explore whether or not UFOs are real, aliens are real, and there's two things that I would say work against that theory that they're real. Now, I will say that I want to believe, much like Mulder and Scully in that great show, The X-Files, which I believe is on Disney Plus, so I might actually rewatch that and maybe give you a review of it. Now, I'll do a little review of a show I've been watching and very much enjoying in the last while that I think is going to be a little bit controversial. Well, not controversial, just I think it'd be like, I'm not going to watch that. So, yeah, maybe that is controversial, but it's not like, it's sort of major nerd content. It's nothing like obscure. It's not like I'm watching this 1991 show that predates all of those Danish, Norwegian thrillers. It's a Icelandic drama that was made in 1991. and every single show since then has just stolen from this. Svetsvaskla is the name of it. It's really, really dark. And actually, the version I have, because it was never shown outside Iceland, doesn't have subtitles. So I learned Icelandic in order to watch this show. No, it's very, very basic. That's what I'm saying. But listen, back to UFOs. Are they real? You see, I do want to believe, but, and people say, and hey, look, it's not me that said this. It's people like Arthur C. Clarke, who said something that I found very comforting, in the sense that he said aliens are definitely real. It's incredibly arrogant for us as a species to think that we're the only intelligent life in this vast, massive universe. However, I will say there's been no definite first contact. As in, UFOs have been appearing, as Bill Hicks used to say, to small handfuls of hillbillies in, the southern states of America. But they haven't, plugged into the internet and sent a message saying, hey guys, we're aliens, we're real, we're here, hi, how's it going, with their universal translator. It's not, and they haven't attacked us like Independence Day or Mars Attacks, and it seems that maybe they would be, if they have interstellar or intergalactic travel. I don't know which is which. I'd have to ask Christopher Nolan. Interstellar is between galaxies, and who are you? I'm not Christopher Nolan. Well, who the fuck are you then? I'm a Christopher Nolan impersonator. My name is Francis. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry. So, if they're that advanced that they can travel through space, then surely they should be able to use a telephone, or at least, sign up for Twitter or something like that. But then again, there's maybe so much noise. See, this is the other thing. Look, you can go with Arthur C. Clarke, who is, was rather a futurist. Lovely man. He dressed like Dr. Evil. If you Google him, you're probably going to get an image of him dressed like Dr. Evil or Blofeld. They're basically the same character. He wore like these sort of moon suits, onesie grey moon suits that were very comfortable, I'd say. And probably he wore them because, probably the least threatening thing you could wear. So if when aliens do arrive, you'd be like, hey, look at me. I'm fine. I'm not threatening at all. Don't be scared. I'm just a man dressed like a James Bond bad guy. So the other person who also says that aliens are real, but gives a reason why they haven't visited us yet, because Arthur C. Clarke didn't give a reason. It's like, they're definitely out there. And he said when aliens get here, it will have such a profound effect on humankind that we will sort of down our tools of war and pick up our tools of peace. So we'll put down our guns of war and pick up our peace pistols and just be shooting peace all over the place. Everyone's I'll get a big automatic peace machine gun and just spray peace all over the neighborhood. But, he was saying the realization that we're not alone in the universe will sort of put an end to the petty squabbles of humanity, brother fighting brother, neighbors fighting neighbors, wars, famines, pestilence, greed, all that sort of stuff will go out the window. All of those things will be a thing of the past, and humanity will just move forward in a way that only benefits itself and the world they live in. Kind of like in Star Trek, where the United Federation of Planets were just about, science, exploration, expanding your mind. There was no money, so there was no greed. People still had jobs and whatnot, but it was very much I suppose they had replicators as well. So you had a machine where you could just say, cheeseburger, and it'd give you a cheeseburger. And so, there's no hunger either. So all of those things were wiped out. Now, the person who believes that aliens exist but are avoiding us is Dan Aykroyd, who says Dan Aykroyd of Ghostbusters and My Girl fame. Those were literally the first two things I could think of. Ghostbusters, the famous film where he gets sucked off by a female ghost. Probably you could do without that. I don't think the sequel, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was supposed to release in 2020 but is coming out this year, directed by Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman. He is probably not going to have a scene where a ghost gives fellatio to a character. Paul Rudd's not going to get sucked off by a ghost in that movie. I can guarantee you that that's not going to happen. And that's something they left out of the reboot, reimagined all-female Ghostbusters movie. Melissa McCarthy didn't get eaten out by some Victorian man ghost. That never happened. My parents listen to this podcast. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. So, Dan Aykroyd reckons that the aliens, I nearly said ghosts, that the aliens are well aware of us, but they're like, ooh, that's a bit like Earth is the sort of wrong side of the universal tracks. Like, ooh, that's a bad neighborhood. There's a lot of lads wearing grey tracksuits, and oh god, there's pollution, and ooh, god, that's their system of government. Oh, it's not really working out for them, is it? Oh god, things are on fire. God. So, I mean, they're probably the people that, this is another thing I read this week, they're probably the people, those aliens that sort of swung by just to have a look and go, I won't bother. We'll just move on. They probably hit the moon and made it wobble because the moon is wobbling and it's going to cause massive flooding. But this is a comedy improv podcast with a bit of knowledge. So let's just leave that aside. Forget about the wobbling moon. You don't have to worry about that. It's not going to affect us for another 30 years. And by then, my son, Luke Salmon, will have become some sort of scientific genius and will fix everything. And they'll build a big statue in his name. And then 20 years from then, they'll tear the statue down for some reason. I don't know. He'll be cancelled on whatever people are using for social media purposes 30 years from now. Who knows? Will we even exist as a species? Who knows? Maybe that's what the aliens are doing. They're just biding their time. They're like, these guys are going to wipe each other out and themselves out. Let's just hang around and wait. So, I don't know if either of those things are true. The only thing I will say is the two things that could not explain away, but would cast kind of doubt on whether these things are, because they're not saying that they're aliens, that they're alien craft. They're just calling them unidentified flying phenomena. And that could be anything. So there's so many government agencies and the military and these secret black ops scientific installations and Area 51s and whatnot. And I don't know if Area 51 is real, but there's probably, some underground laboratory. They're always making these secret stealth ships and whatnot, and no one knows what the other one is doing. And a lot of these times it's like, what is that? Is that one of ours? Say the Air Force, and they go, no, and no one else wants to claim it. And sometimes these things are a disaster. Like, I know that I can't remember the specifics of it, but in general terms, the American military spent like $1 billion or $1 trillion, an obscene amount of money, a lot of zeros on a helicopter plane hybrid thing that didn't work. So they're just pissing money away. So that could have flown once and crashed, and someone could have seen it, and then that gets classified as unidentified flying phenomena, because they don't land and walk around, and a lot of the time they're just like killing cows and stuff. This is what the aliens are up to, and abducting, one man who lives in a shack by himself in Louisiana, and he's, basically the Randy Quaid character in Independence Day, and it doesn't seem that credible. Now, but the main thing, so that's what I would say. You could explain away these unidentified flying things as lots and lots of research and development, and not a lot of cross pollination between these disparate groups making these flying objects, and stealth planes, and testing out these things. Now the other thing is, like, and just to use Luke, my son, as an example, not going back to baby talk, but my son Luke is 6 weeks old, and there's already probably 400% more pictures of him than ever existed of me as a child. The only picture, my dad was looking for pictures of me, and he very cleverly would write on the back of these photographs, because I have two brothers, so he would either write Julian, Jonathan, or Edwin, and he'd write 5 months or 6 months, or whatever. But just to make sure, because in Cara's house, Cara's dad found a bunch of photos and was looking through all these baby photos and going, I think that's you. I think maybe that's Neil. Maybe that's Ronan. Whereas my dad was like, I'm never going to remember which kid this is, so let's just write it on the back. And he found a couple of photos of me, one definite photo of me. I'm 5 months old, and in the photo, there's an upturned paint bucket, and I'm being sort of sat on it, being held, but sat on it. And it almost looks like I'm going to be executed, like I did some sort of baby crime. And the baby detective solved the case, and I was put on trial, and the baby judge banged his baby gavel, and I was sentenced to baby death. And I was going to be executed, and just at the last minute, the baby governor rang, and I was pardoned, and it was all a misunderstanding. A very small man committed the crime, and I was free to fulfill a life of believing in aliens, which I don't. And this is my point. Photographs. Lots of photos of my child, lots of photos of everything. People take photographs of everything. There's a photograph of every celebrity's feet. There's a photograph of whatever you want. There's everything is documented. Everyone has their phones out all of the time, and everyone has high quality zoomable cameras on their phones. So everyone's carrying around potential evidence gatherers, yet the quality of photographs of alien craft, if we're going to call it aliens, is very thin on the ground. So, and thin in the air, which is where they are a lot of the time. So I am dubious, because there has never been a clean photograph of a UFO. They're always grainy. Whoever is being visited by aliens, or who's just walking along casually and an alien comes, they always seem to have Polaroid cameras or old film cameras, or the old cranky silent movie cameras. And I find that to be disappointing and sort of unbelievable. So in that sense, I don't think that UFOs are real. That's my hot take. I would love for them to be real. I would love for aliens to come down and shame humanity into acting better. But until that happens, I'm going to just have to keep working on my son and making him the genius that will save humanity that I hope he will be. Although that's an awful lot of pressure to put on a baby. So we're going to have another little break here, guys. I know that first break was kind of unexpected, but I put a little jingle at the other end. And when we come back, we're going to have an episode of Baby Detective. So I hope you enjoy it. It was just another regular Friday night for me, Jonathan Baby, a.k.a. Baby Detective. I'd let my woman leave and sort myself out. Well, after all, she'd fed and changed me. My nappy was full of poop. Now my brain was full of information and questions. I just got a phone call from the hospital. Dr. Johnson said that someone broke in and stole milk from all the nursing mothers. But who? And why? And also who? These were questions I needed answered. 2 of them were the same question, but nonetheless, they needed to be answered. I was just waiting for Denise to get back so I could make my way to the hospital. I'm not sure her name was Denise, but look, I'll just call her Toots, and that's my way around it. Whenever I can't remember a face, I just bring my eyeline down to the boobs, and there's the rub. Or rather, the milk. Now, I like milk as much as the next baby. But oh wait, here's Denise.
Oh, hey, baby.
Yeah, alright, don't baby me. I need you to strap me in.
Why, what's happening?
We're going to the hospital.
You sick?
No, there's a case. I'll explain on the way, but you probably won't understand. Because I'm a detective, and you're just my assistant. Sure, I need you to carry me from place to place because I can't walk for myself, and feed me and burp me and change my nappy. But apart from that, I'm completely self-reliant. Yeah, this is going to be a tough case, Toots. But you know what? Crime doesn't nap, and neither do I. Now let's get to the hospital. Well, here I am at the hospital.
Oh, Baby Detective, thank you so much for coming. I'm Dr. Johnson. I spoke to you on the phone.
No, you spoke to my answering machine on the phone.
Wow, that's amazing detective work. I totally forgot about that.
Most witnesses forget what they see. Takes a great mind to jog their memories. Denise, hoist me up a little bit tighter in this baby Bjorn.
All right, baby detective.
Don't talk. I'm not paying you to talk. I'm paying you to nurse. Speaking of nursing, what seems to be the issue here, Doc?
Well, the night porter came into work last night because...
He works at night.
Yes, wow. Amazing deduction there.
Yeah, you're impressed,
Yes,
right?
Yes, I am very impressed.
Yes, very impressed. Good.
Okay, I'll carry on.
Yes, please do.
Well, Hernando just logged in as per usual and went about his rounds. Then at the nursing mother's room, he noticed underneath the door a watery white liquid.
Let me guess. It was milk?
Yes, absolutely. It was milk. Wow, you really are truly the best detective I've ever seen. Who was also a baby.
That's why I wear the big nappies, Chief.
Oh, I'm not the chief medical officer. That's Charles. He's away for the weekend.
I didn't mean it literally, Doc.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I'll carry on with my story.
Yes, please do, before the trail goes sour like that milk.
So, when the night porter opened the door, all he could see was just a row of nursing mothers. Their breasts have been completely sucked dry.
Can you take me to the room where that room is?
Yes, the room where that room is right over here. Here's the room.
Interesting, Doc. You notice the milk drips all the way out the room, out the door, down the corridor, and at that fire exit at the back.
I hadn't detected that. That's odd.
Well, you're not a baby detective.
Well, of course. Sorry, I should know my place.
Yeah,
My apologies, Baby Detective.
it's all right. Apology accepted. So you see, Doc, the milk was stolen, all right, but it wasn't drunk on the premises. It was siphoned off and moved to a second location.
A second location? You mean a place that isn't the hospital?
Exactly, and precisely that, Doc. Somewhere where this milk would remain fresh, refrigerated, but hidden. There's only 4 places in the city that could be. The big dairy, the small dairy, the medium-sized dairy, and Uncle Joe's refrigerator factory.
But, I thought Uncle Joe's refrigerator factory was closed down.
Yeah, me too. That'll be the first place I'll look. Come on, Toots. Let's get a shake on. Tighten up these straps. I got a bulge in my nappy, and it's clue-shaped. Also, I need my nappy changed.
Okay, Baby D.
But, baby detective, how could you be so sure that it's that location and not another one of those locations that you just mentioned?
Let's just call it intuition, Doc. Something about this case smells sour, and it's not the milk.
Please keep me informed of your progress. I'm an incredibly busy doctor, but I want to know what's going on with this milk. These nursing mothers are traumatized, and we don't have enough setters at the hospital to relax them all. Oh, this is a nightmare.
Well, hopefully this is a nightmare we can wake up from sooner rather than later, Doc. The whole thing is kind of perplexing, though. Someone's got to be behind this. Someone big. Or maybe someone small.
What do you mean, Baby D?
Don't you worry about it, Toots. You just do the changing and feeding, and I'll do the drinking and thinking. And I got a feeling we're going to get some answers down at that old abandoned refrigerator factory. Oh, that's a very exciting episode. It's building up to something. I think a nemesis might appear in the next episode, and then things are really going to start heating up on Baby Detective, the case of the missing boob milk. So, guys, that is the end of this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time, thank you for listening. I hope you listen again. Listen back to the old episodes. If you're a regular listener, thank you so much. If you've been listening for a while and you've never given me a review, that could be something you could do. It'll take 2 minutes. It won't cost you anything and it'll help me out immensely. You can review me on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if you can review me on other stuff. You can follow me on Spotify. You can recommend me to your friends. You can do all of these things. You can play my episodes on a loop constantly. That will also help me get up the charts and get incremental amounts of advertising money. I also said in this episode I was going to review something and I never got around to it, but I will review that in the next episode, or maybe I will do it as a separate review episode because not a lot of people like to listen to reviews, especially my father. So guys, take care and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!